Hi there, my name's Bill O'Toole. I'm going to talk about the EMBoK, the Event Management Body of Knowledge. I originated that in the year 2000 when I wrote a paper for a conference. What I wanted to do was to get together some framework that could describe this new emerging profession of event management. I knew about the PMBOK, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, and I knew any profession needed a body of knowledge. With that in mind, I put together a model which was made up of processes, what are called domains, and phases. I'll show you that in a second, but I should mention that this was picked up very quickly by a person called Julia Rutherford-Silvers, it's a good friend, and Janet Landey, and we put together a conference in South Africa, courtesy of Janet, by the way, and brought in a number of event experts. Anyway, so what we decided on was indeed the cube. Now, the original cube, I'll see if I can draw this properly, a three-dimensional cube, which is quite common for professions, but this is a nice visual way to look at it. And basically what we said about the cube was that there are a number of domains. Now, this was quite a discussion when we had this, and we decided on 5 domains. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And they were, the domains were design, there was administration, there was marketing, okay, there was risk, and there was operations. Now this was quite dramatic at that time, mainly because of this one, risk. Mine was the only textbook that actually had a section on risk. At the time, most of the event management books and what people talked about was indeed design and operations and marketing with a little bit of administration. So you've got the areas, and they're called domains. Domains of knowledge. Okay. Now that's not enough, because that doesn't really describe the profession, because there's something else, and that's called phases, because the knowledge you need is different in different phases. And what do I mean by phases? We'll put them down here, phases. Phases mean different times. So you have the initiation phase here, right, which is coming up with the idea of the event or bidding for the event. Then there's, once you actually get a approval, you go into the planning phase. When you've got your plans together, or sometimes at the same time, you start implementing the plans. And then there is the event itself. And then there is what's called the shutdown, or the end of the event. Now, what's important about these phases is you do different things during different phases. There's different knowledge that's needed. So, in fact, what you could do is draw it up like this. And during the marketing, for example, during the initiation phase, you have different skills in marketing and what you do. Same during the planning, when you're putting together a marketing campaign. Then when you start implementing the marketing, you're doing different things. But this is not enough, because these are just facts. In fact, what we need are the verbs, and the verbs are the processes. So that is your third dimension. Okay, processes. Processes, okay? And the processes are a variety. And there in all these different areas you have different processes at different times. But there are some processes which you might call universal processes, and that's risk management is one of them, because you're going to use risk management everywhere here. Whereas there's some process like site design, which will be part of design, and the process will interact with operations. So in fact, what you can do to describe the profession even more accurately is look at any one of these nodes. Let's do it as a cell, just a tiny little square like that. And each one of these nodes that comes from anywhere in this block of the profession can be described by competency. In other words, how competent are you to do it? It could be also described by schedules or schedules. When things actually have to be done, time is a tremendously important process. Scheduling is a very important process all through this. Then it could also be described by checklists. But there's one more, and that is standards. There are indeed standards for various things here. There's standards in marketing, there's standards in risk management. Of course, there's a lot of standards in operations, in admin, there's human resource standards. So basically, this cube was indeed the start of the EMBoK. We put it all together, and my concepts were the phases, the risk, and the processes. The processes is what I regarded as the most important. Process mapping is a tremendously important part of any profession because they are the verbs. A process is a series of tasks that is invariant, that really the series doesn't change. What the task acts on does change, but the process itself doesn't change. So there'll be certain processes in operations at different times. And as I said, risk management is a good example of a universal process that must be used throughout the whole project for putting an event together. So you have the phases, just to go over it, which is time-based. The phases is time-based. The domains are the nouns, the things that actually have to be done. And the processes are the verbs, how you actually get things together. And this describes the event management body of knowledge. There's more to this, of course. There are a lot more people involved in this, but this was my major contribution to the event management body of knowledge, which, as I said, I originated in the year 2000. It has now become an international standard called the Event Management International Competency Standard. You should have a look it up on the web. Okay, nice to do this presentation for you, and good luck with all your events.